with you. Tell us a little bit about SSA and yourself.
I was approached by another person, and it was back in 2017, and I went, "Oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into?" And it's been a very happy relationship. And then we do almost the same thing that pro-aging community does, but we're all bosom buddies. And some of the topics are the same and some of the topics are different. When I feel that something is slightly on the different side, I do go to Steve and say, "Hey, how about a joint session on this one?" And he's never said no on anything that I have chosen. So I feel very honored about that. And
Yeah. My friend reminds me constantly that I need to say no more often, but not for you all. I promise I'm not going to uh you keep on coming. Now, does Senior Service Alliance, anybody can join your group, correct?
absolutely. We have maybe Joe or Judy can put it in the chat, our website, and it's just a very short form that you fill out, and that gets you on our master list. And if that's the case, we don't sell names, we don't share them with anybody, and you'll get we have two meetings a month, the second and the fourth Wednesday of each month. The second Wednesday is always a speaker, like we're doing today with Joan. And the fourth Wednesday is always a topic where we interact with each other. And that's really even more. This is a networking session, but that's even more of a networking session. We do ask that in both types of sessions, you put your communication information in so that people can reach you if that's what you desire. Joe, Judy, do you wish to add anything else?
No, you've already mentioned there's no cost, there's no penalty if you can't attend. We encourage, but don't require attendance. And we try to be a friendly and useful resource for everybody so that we can guide folks if they need particular services or personnel or whatever. Uh, like Steve will do, we'll dig into our treasure chest and give you some information. So welcome
And
everyone.
also, if you change your mind and you decide, well, you're leaving the field or you're no longer, we're no longer an interest to you, you can take yourself off the list just as easily as you can put yourself on.
Nobody's a captive. That's right. And Steve, you'll be recording this session. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually it's recording on live streaming. And so right now we've got an audience on YouTube, we got an audience on LinkedIn and Facebook, and that's how it's recorded.
Wow.
How about CIA? Do we have to be careful about that?
We always have to
Yes.
be careful about them.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Well, we've never, ever, and I've attended a lot of Steve's meetings just as a participant. I don't think we've ever had a problem with anybody in attendance.
No, no one has been arrested.
all right.
No
Well,
one has been cut off either.
Right. That's
yeah, there's always a first, but let's see. We've got Judy and Rebecca who are also on the leadership team with SSA. I dropped the website into chat.
yep.
Thank
Um,
you.
any additional housekeeping that we have before we welcome our who I've known Joan for a while. You got a good one here, y'all. And a hot topic. In fact, you could probably invite Joan back in 30 days and she'll give you a different presentation on this topic. Um, so should we kick things off
Yes, let's
with
go.
Joan?
Absolutely.
So Joan, first off, as I like to do, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I know you've got a slide deck, and we're gonna get into a presentation.
Right. And I just shared a link to the presentation because I know a lot of people like to have the slides. Um, but my name is Joan Green, and I'm really a speech pathologist. So I've been a speech pathologist since the mid 80s, and I started off working with adults who had strokes and head injuries and all kinds of issues. Then I started having kids and have 4 kids and worked with kids. But I've always been into tech, and I've always seen it as a really great resource for people. But I didn't work with like seniors. I worked with people with a diagnosis of aphasia or, something else or had a head injury. But it just keeps getting better and better and better. And so, long story short, what I love to do now is just help people figure out tech to improve their life. So I work with people who can't speak at all, autism, young kids, older people, college age, students, everybody now, because tech is just such an integral part of our life. And how do you figure it out? How do you figure out what's good for you and how to be more productive or how to overcome challenges? So it's sort of like who I am. It's sort of my identity and a hobby that I always love figuring out tech and thinking about how can it help people. So I just have my own business doing that now. I really don't do speech therapy anymore. And I love to collaborate with different groups and sort of share, help people figure out a way to move forward in this world of tech.
Well, I always think it's great when somebody like you um has a let's say an allied health profession in speech pathology, and you've transitioned to technology, and now you're able to blend your ability to communicate and diagnose and you know how to work with older adults. You're just adding this new element. You're like a Swiss Army knife, Joan.
I always say I'm not an IT person, though. I'm not good with getting rid of viruses in a computer and setting up networks. I'm just about practical use, everyday practical use, either at work or at home. And I have a special interest in seniors. I lost my dad last summer, but I'm really immersed in elder care and senior care communities. And so I think a lot more has to be done to help seniors with tech.
Okay, great. Well, this is good. Okay, so Ed is mentioning, he's like, I can't get my camera to work. Ed and everybody, the only people you see on the screen are the speaker and the leadership team at SSA. We've got about 150 registrations for this discussion today, so it's in webinar format. So everybody, you don't need to worry. You could be in your pajamas, drinking your coffee. Your cat can walk right in front of the computer. Doesn't matter today. The it, but make sure to, if you've got questions for Joan, use chat and Q&A, and Joan will be able to access that. And I I am going to be exiting stage left. Don't worry, my I'm not going to stop recording or anything, but I'm really excited to listen to the broadcast.
Steve, thank you, buddy,
Yes, thank you.
for this morning and all you do. Believe
Yeah,
me.
you bet. All right, so let me just make sure Joan can share her slides okay, and there,
Hello.
looking good.
Bingo.
Wonderful. All right, I will take it away. Take care, Steve.
Yep.
So absolutely everybody, let's use the chat function. So feel free to introduce yourselves if you haven't already. And I'd love to know more about how you use tech and what brought you to today. Also use the Q&A for questions because if the chat is really active, it'll be hard for me to watch, but I have a couple of monitors and I can see the chat and the Q&A as I go. So feel free to post, you don't have to wait to post your questions. So today we're talking all about tech tips for seniors. And I'm really grateful to have been invited here because this is near and dear to my heart. And now with AI, things are just changing really, really fast. And so on this slide, I just put some of my favorite tech tools. You might recognize all the symbols, you might not, but by the end of today, hopefully you will. So remember these? I think a lot of us here probably have used devices like this. I'm 61, so I grew up with a typewriter and these old-fashioned cameras, and really things have changed fast. And you'll notice I put a little note at the bottom how I created these images, because now with AI coming out, I feel compelled to always say that the majority of these images I created with AI or Canva that uses AI. So I just think that, sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what's not. And really, we need to let people know where the sources are. And I've been doing a lot of presentations, and I'm really asked to always write a disclaimer that I create images with AI. So that we've gone through a lot of transformations, back in the day when we had typewriters and we still have calculators, and things just keep changing. When we started with email, that was a huge shift, and mobile phones were a huge shift. Google Translate was a huge shift, and now with this ChatGPT and AI and some of these new cool tools, really a lot of people are feeling a little disenfranchised or left out, or people are really reacting very differently to all this, and many seniors are feeling left behind and resisting change. So I just wrote out some of the ideas that come to mind, and I'm sure that you all have your own feelings about this, and definitely feel free to use the communication tools in chat. You can give a thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm trying to see where that is in here. Or just in the chat, if you agree with me, disagree with me. I think that part of these presentations is learning from other people in addition to the speaker. So I love to read through the chat afterwards and get new ideas. But really, a lot of seniors resist lack of experience and familiarity, physical limitations, fear of looking incompetent, fear of change, lack of patience, perceived uselessness. They just like the way they used to do things, or maybe they're isolated. There's so many barriers. They just want things to stay the same, or they're afraid of breaking things. They're afraid of security and privacy, distrust, policy restrictions. Maybe they just can't get good help. And there's a lot of staff and volunteer turnover. So I'm curious. I'd really love for people to write in the chat. You can just put a number, 1 or 5. You don't have to, but write a 1 if you are just not comfortable with tech. You just don't like it. You want to avoid it at all costs. Or a 5 if I would be a 5. I just love it. I get a new device. The first thing I do is look at settings and accessibility features and try to figure it out. And 3 would be in the middle. So let me take a look, and you all can see the chat. So I see a lot of 5s and some 3s and a 4. Oh, Celie, welcome. You're not a digital dinosaur. Um, got a lot of 4s and 5s. That's really, really great. And maybe the people who are 1 can't figure out how to do chat. There's a button at the bottom that says chat. But you're all welcome to be here, and I'm really glad. I believe that the antidote to the people that might write a 1 or a 2, all that fear and overwhelm, any guesses what the antidote might be? Gregory says 2.8. Ellen teaches on Zoom. All right, what is the antidote? Education, right, or circles of support. I think that this is just really missing. When we used to work in offices, many of us still do, we have tech support people, but a lot of seniors don't have anyone other than maybe their kids, if they're lucky enough to have them and they're close by and willing to help. Everybody needs their go-to people, right? And so what I'm hoping that you walk away from today's presentation with is the eagerness to form tech support teams. So in your senior care communities, whatever environment you live in, you need to have a network of people to go to ask for help. A while back, Celie, I think you were in it. I had formed an Elder Tech Advisor Network. It was a little hard for me to get enough momentum going, and that has evolved into something called the Tech Life Inner Circle, which I'll talk about later. And that's really where I'm helping. I love to train the trainers. So every place that has a circle of support with volunteers or paid staff that are gathering together to figure out all this tech stuff for their residents or whoever they work with, come to this inner circle, and I help them problem solve and help those residents, because the trainers need someone to go to that knows this stuff. So I'd like for everyone to sort of clear their head of all the negativity about tech because there is a lot. It can cause a lot of problems. Um, but but today, my tech mindset is how can readily available and free or low cost technologies help others experience success with everyday tasks and stay socially connected and enjoy life? So I talk about looking for that lowest hanging fruit first. What's the easiest, what's going to have the biggest impact, encounter the least resistance, be readily available, and require the least expense. We're all looking for that perfect scenario of the lowest hanging fruit. And I'm hoping that after today's presentation, you'll pick a few ideas that will be your lowest hanging fruit to try. So this is just, I don't do a lot of sales pitching, but this is just me, and you can consider me your tech advisor. My business is innovative speech therapy. I'm in Montgomery County, Maryland, and I have a free Facebook group, and I have this new Tech Life Inner Circle membership, which I really love. That's a one thing I'm really trying to improve on. And it just makes my day to help people improve their life with tech. So I think that tech and AI can be really great for all of us and help us to be more efficient and productive, but it's really, really essential for people who struggle. So a lot of us work with different kinds of people. They might have expressive communication challenges, right? Maybe they had a stroke or a head injury or a tumor, people with vision and hearing loss, mobility limitations, dexterity issues, isolation and depression, memory and reasoning problems, all kinds of problems. And so tech can make all the difference. And these are going to be the main tips and ideas. It comes out to a lot more than 10. And I'm going to put this in the chat again so that you have a link to all of this. Because I have a lot of this is a great resource. You can take your camera if you have a smartphone and just open up the camera and put it at that QR code, that purple square, and automatically you'll see a little link at the bottom that you can touch. And if you put in your name and email, you'll then be able to download the handouts, this as well as all the slides, one page one slide per page and 6 slides per page. And I think that this could be a really nice resource for you. Okay, so I'm going to start off talking about the language of a tech, which I think is a secret ingredient to really feeling more comfortable with tech. Then we're going to talk about text to speech and speech to text, which are basic accessibility features on all of our devices. We're going to talk a little bit about hearing assistive technology. Then we're going to look a little bit more at some settings that you might not realize exist that can be really helpful. We're going to talk about embracing the cloud. I think it's something that a lot of people are fearful of that can make a huge difference, especially if you're caring for elders. We'll talk about different ways to socialize with video chat and some options that you might not realize exist for people that have trouble with FaceTime and WhatsApp, some of the basic video chat methods. And then what I'm going to do is just really spotlight some of my favorite tools. I love Google Lens, and I might give you a live demo of that. I love Goblin Tools and Notebook LM, and so I'm hoping to give you a live demo of that. And I really like the LLMs, the large language models like ChatGPT and Gemini, a Copilot and Perplexity. And so I'll be showing you ways, we all hear about AI, but it's like taking away everyone's jobs and it's causing all these layoffs in the government. That's my world. But it also can improve the life of seniors. And it's hard to know exactly, well, how can it do that? How can it help me do my work better or just, help me plan a vacation? And so I'm going to be talking about some practical ways that you can use some of this AI. And then the last point I'm going to make is all about different troubleshooting methods. And I'll talk about using AI as your tech support and some tech help. So let's move on. Hopefully you were able to grab that link. I also put it in the chat. So learning the language of tech. I don't see that many people talking about this, but I think it's really important because there are situations where somebody I might go and try to help my mom or somebody else with her tech, and I can fix it in 2 seconds, and it's clear to me. But she doesn't have a clue how to get started. And I think that a lot of this is that I know how to decode text language. I know the symbols. And so we're not going to go through them all today, but we all try to write out step by step for people how to do things and what to click on. The problem is that these apps are always changing. And if you update an app or change an operating system or access it a different way, things are in different places and look really different, and it gets confusing and frustrating. I'm sure you can all relate to that. So I think that we need to really teach people how, like, what things mean. So what do these symbols mean? If you see this on your phone, you see these three horizontal dots or, the lines. Does anybody know what that means? I'll wait a minute and see if they appear in the chat. Oh, more. Peggy wrote more, or Karen wrote menu. Yeah. So exactly. You can refer, this is an ellipsis. Some people call that a hamburger sign. And whenever you see that, it means more options or additional menus. And all of these symbols, would you recognize these symbols? Or they're all, they can be in different colors or a little bit different. But if you click on them, what would happen? Because I know a lot of seniors are, you're afraid you're going to break something and click on something. And so, you know, here's an example of the language of tech. So if you see a microphone, that might mean that you can turn on dictation or the ability to speak, or turn off the microphone. The second one here maybe have to do with speakers, turn up the volume, turn down the volume, mute the volume. If you see a T in a box, that means that you can click on it and type. And then the upload and the download button. So really, as you're helping people or helping yourself, look for these symbols to figure it out. And in some of my courses that I teach, I have a whole Google Slides presentation filled with pages of these that people can use as a teaching tool if you're teaching classes. And reach out to me if you're teaching tech classes to seniors, and I can share that Google Slides presentation with you, and you can add more because it's really important to teach that language of tech. All right. The second tip is text to speech and speech to text. So let me know in the chat if this is something you do. So text to speech is reading aloud. So for people that have trouble reading, you can listen to it, right? And for people who have trouble typing, you can speak and have it typed for you. So we're going to start with the first one, and people get that mixed up a little bit, but listening to text read aloud is text to speech. And it's important to know that all devices, all your phones and tablets and computers can be set up to read text for free. You just have to configure it in the settings, and it can get a little bit confusing. And it used to be that the voices were really robotic sounding, and there are new AI voices that are amazing. And again, I can do demos of this. If if people want to ask for demos of things, but I want to really demo the stuff at the end because that's more fun. But Celie said text to speech has changed her life. She loves that little microphone. Yeah, it's great. So it's really helpful for small print, low vision or visual perceptual challenges, attention or memory challenges, reading difficulties, or some people would rather listen. And so if you have an iPhone or an iPad, there are two things that you can do, speak selection or speak screen. And you go to the gear icon, the settings, and then accessibility and spoken content, and you select speak selection and speak screen. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I really want to have enough time for the really fun stuff. But I have this step-by-step instructions for you right here when you get the handouts. So you just set it up. And you can listen, you just hold down your finger or swipe down from the top, and you can listen to the text read aloud. And Mark says it's a lifeline for his blind and low vision clients. And Yvette says new AI voices sound so lifelike. Yeah. Okay. So on Android phones, you would use the select to speak So on Android 11 and up, you go to settings and accessibility and select to speak. And if you don't see that, you need to go to the Google Play Store because not all Android phones are the same, right? There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's Samsung and, so you have to, they're not all the same, but they all have the capability to read text aloud. If you're on a Mac, I'm on a Mac right now. I can go to the little apple in the top left and go to System Preferences and Accessibility, and then select Speak Selected Text when the key is pressed. And the default option is Option plus Escape. And again, so any device can read aloud for you. There are lots of options, and it does get complicated. So if you're on a browser, so I just told you all the different ways if you're on a device, but you can also do it from your browser, from Chrome or Edge. And again, if we have extra time at the end, I'll demo it. But Microsoft Edge, the whole Microsoft world has Immersive Reader, which is really great. And these are all live linked. So actually, I'm going to show this to you because a lot of adults use Microsoft. So if you click on that link, you'll be taken to a support page, and I'll just play this for 2 minutes.
Use Immersive Reader in Word to improve your reading skills. Select View Immersive Reader. Choose one of the options. Column width changes line length to improve focus and comprehension. Page color can make text easier to scan with less eye strain. Line focus removes distractions so you can read line by line. Text spacing increases the spacing between words, characters, and lines. Syllables show breaks between syllables to improve word recognition and pronunciation. Read aloud lets you hear your document as each word is highlighted.
The Amazon rainforest is an expansive forest located in the Amazon basin.
So that's just a quick example, but as you see all these different links, there's support pages and videos. So if anything, just make a note of something that looks good to you, and then you can work to figure it out. Oops, sorry. Forgot to turn on my do not disturb. So I'm going to go do that right now. Okay. And I'm going to turn on my do not disturb. I teach people that that's what you should do at the, all right, to maximize attention. Okay, so if you're in the Chrome browser, my favorite way to read aloud is the Read and Write Chrome extension. It used to be by Text Help. They've merged or been bought out by Everway. And so that's my favorite extension that, again, you can select text or just hover the cursor. And I love the new AI voices are incredibly great. And it can give you two-tone highlighting. It's fantastic. So again, the devices, I had a lot of slides that showed you how to do that. PDFs can be read aloud. It's a little bit more complicated. Books can be read aloud. If you have a documented print disability, even as an adult, you can get access to Learning Ally and Bookshare. Bookshare for a very low cost, and it has so many books, audiobooks and other books that can be read aloud. And Libby and Hoopla are apps that you can use to access library books for free. And then you can have those read aloud or get their audiobooks. And one of my favorite tools is Speechify, which costs some money, but that works across all platforms and it has fantastic voices. And you can configure the rate and this, to meet your needs. So these are a lot of different ways for reading aloud. The flip side is speaking, like dictations. It can be called speech recognition, dictation, or speech to text. So that's the talking and turning it into text. So that's really helpful for people when typing is hard. All current computers, phones, and tablets can do this for free. Wherever the cursor is blinking, you should be able to enter text with your speech. The process depends on the device, the operating system, and the format of the material. So if you're on a mobile device, on a phone or a tablet, look in the keyboard and you know that where you type on your phone, like to send a text message, and there's a microphone right there, and it's on all of them. And so if you might have to just click on it and give it permission, enable it, but it works and you can talk and have it type. If you're in something like Google Docs, you can go to the tools menu and then voice typing. And in Word, there's also dictation included. So as long as it's an online voice. So Judy says, asks, is the speech to text good at handling speech difficulties? Slow speech, super quiet speech, resulting from illness. That's a hard part. And I think I have a slide on that. There are some special tools, add-ons that I have a slide. Speech to text is not great for everybody. If you have a big an accent that it doesn't understand real well, if you have really soft speech and there's a noisy environment, you have to, I always say, speak like you're speaking to somebody who has trouble understanding or hearing you. And it does a pretty good job, but it's getting better, but it's definitely not perfect and doesn't work for everybody. And I'll show you some of the tools I like to help make it better. But here's dictation if you're in Microsoft Word 365 and Word for the web. It's right there. You just might not have noticed it. And here's a picture of voice typing in Google Docs. So you don't have to add anything. It's just there. So if you go to docs.google.com, that's how you get to Google Docs if you're in this world of Google. And you'll see this tools up at the top, and you click on it, and the drop down, you'll see voice typing is just right there. And so then you click on it and the microphone appears. And so it's really, really helpful. But as Judy said, it doesn't work great for everybody. And so sometimes it's hard and people have, quote, non-standard speech. And so there's a lot of research going on to try to improve the AI. And I just worked with somebody a couple weeks ago that has, what did she have? Cerebral palsy. And it was a young woman in her 20s, and she was so frustrated that she could not make her phone understand her. And there's something out of Israel called Voice It, which is amazingly great. And if you can read aloud a number of phrases, it's a lot of phrases. It might be 100 or 200 phrases, but it forms a file for you. And again, I'm not an IT person, but it forms, I can't think of the right word, but it basically learns to understand your speech, and it then sort of translates it into standard speech so that it can be accurate with speech to text. And it can also be used to help that person communicate with other people. It's really great. It's not free. It might be 500 a year or something, but you can try it for free. And it's a lifesaver for a lot of people. So I highly recommend Voice It and looking into that. And again, this is, you can click on this and you can start with a free trial. And this is something where it just helps it helps the computer understand your speech so that you can use speech to text. So that's Voice It. Project Relate is really good too. That's free. And if you have an Android phone, this is a possibility. Look into that. I haven't actually used that one myself, but because I don't have an Android phone. But there's a lot of research going on to help people with non-standard speech be able to use speech to text or to have their words translated so that other people can understand it. Really cool stuff. Meryl says many times one needs to just ask a foreigner to speak slower when they formulate the words correctly, it will work. And I think that they have gotten better. A lot of these tools have gotten a lot better. All right, the next tech tip is all about hearing assistive technology. I actually just gave a whole presentation on this last week, but this is condensed. So there are a lot of ways that we can use our smartphones to help with hearing. Live Listen is a feature on iPhones that you can turn on. You go to Settings and Accessibility and Hearing. And what it does is if you have ear pods or other headphones or earbuds that are made for iPhone hearing aids, well, AirPods, Beats headphones are made for iPhone hearing aids. What can happen is you can put your phone wherever the person is talking and it will go directly into your ear, which is really helpful. There's also Conversation Boost for AirPod Pro users. And what that does is it boosts the signal to go into your AirPods so that you can understand it better. It just gives you a little bit of a boost. Ooh, Didn't mean to do that. And then if you have an Android phone, you can use something called Sound Amplifier. So look those up if that's something that is interesting to you. Captions and transcriptions are key for people with auditory processing problems and hearing problems. And a lot of us don't think to use captioning. But even here on Zoom, I'm sure Steve said in the intro, you can go to that little bar where you have the different choices that you have and choose closed captioning or click on the More button. And there'll be a choice that you can put on captions for this presentation. So people, if you're giving a presentation with PowerPoint or slides, these first two images, there is a feature for closed captioning, so that if you're, giving a Google Slides presentation, you can have it use the automated captioning as you present, which is what I do if there's not another form of captioning. PowerPoint is very cool because what you can do is people can actually use an app and they can see the captioning in the language of their choice. So there's some really cool stuff with that. TV remotes often have captioning. YouTube has captioning. I mentioned Zoom. This image, second from the right, is Google Meet has captioning. That's very similar to Zoom. So, we know that transcriptions may have errors, but it's better than nothing. And it really depends on the speaker and the environment. Meryl says she uses captioning all the time and it's really helpful. No more whatting anybody anymore, asking what all the time. So this is a slide that you can go through at your leisure about how to enable captions on your smartphone. So again, you go to settings and accessibility and then live caption. And a couple of weeks ago, my mom had to have her hearing aid repaired and they didn't have a loaner for her. So she sits with people at lunch. She lives over at Ingleside at King Farm, and I wanted her to be able to be engaged in the conversation. And so I enabled live captioning on her phone so that she couldn't necessarily hear everybody well, but she could see the captioning and she could talk fine. And so that really helped her at lunch. You need at least iOS 17 on the iPhone. Right now we're at iOS 18. And again, Android phones are all a little bit different. The captioning came first on Pixel phones, but all of the Android phones that have Android 10 or newer should be able to offer live captioning. Now, if you have a phone that's older and you can't take advantage of that feature, then there's some terrific apps. And so these are apps that deaf and hearing impaired people use a lot. There are a lot of, you can make the text bigger. There are a lot of features in it that are wonderful. But I encourage you, if your phone or the phone of somebody you help is too old, but that person would benefit from seeing live captioning of a person so they can talk to them, try either Live Transcribe or Ava if you have an iPhone, or another version of Live Transcribe or Ava if you have an Android phone. And then in this world of captioning, there are the coolest AI tools. And I work a lot with high school and college students who have ADHD, dysgraphia, dyslexia, reading and writing problems, and taking notes is a huge problem. And for a lot of adults who might have had a concussion, or they're having memory problems, or for all of the rest of us, we often miss information in meetings, and it would be really nice if we could record them and take advantage of some of these AI tools. And so it's the law that you need to get permission to record. And sometimes that's an obstacle, at least in colleges and in schools, because well, there are a lot of reasons, but if you can get the permission to record, these are some of my top tools here at the bottom, Glean and Otter AI, that you can get a free limited version, but they're not that expensive for even the full pro version. And it will record the audio, and then you can get an instant live audio transcript, and then it will summarize and give you action steps and you can edit it. And if you use Glean, it will keep the original recording in a secure server so that you can't share the recording, which is why professors, that's probably the tool that they like the best because they don't have to, you're not going to give away all of their intellectual information, but you can share your notes from it. And some of these tools, like Glean, will automatically, from the transcript, create quiz questions to help you understand the information, or it uses a chatbot so that you can ask information about the content of the meeting. So cool. I mean, this is the stuff that gets me very excited. Voice memos is also wonderful. Most people have a lot of people have iPhones, and voice memos is an app that's just already included on your iPhone. And so if you go to a doctor's appointment, let's say, and you're afraid it's hard to take notes and you're afraid you're going to forget something, you can ask the doctor if you can record, and you can record the audio. It's just there on your phone. And then if you when you're done, you can click on it and you can see the transcript is just right there, that with that little button to the left with the quotes. That'll give you the transcript. And so it'll just be saved, and later you can view it and you can edit it. And you can share the transcript with other people or share the recording. It's just there on our phones, and it's something that can be really powerful. It's only the latest operating system, iOS 18, and you have to have at least an iPhone 12 to take advantage of the transcription feature. And Karen says she's been using Otter on Zoom webinars as a backup for her written notes. It used to be that Otter was the tool that Zoom used for the transcription. Now Zoom uses its own stuff. Any voice memo available on Androids, asked Deb. Yes, let me see if I put that in here as the next slide. No, I didn't. Ah. I do presentations just focusing on some of these specific features. I think there's something called the Recorder app. It's built into Android phones. I haven't used it personally, but if anybody here has an Android and uses a tool to record and have it converted. I know that Apple Notes app does it also. And I see somebody asked a question, do you travel to Virginia to do presentations for older adults? Sometimes we can talk. I love doing presentations but I do charge. I don't do a lot for free anymore. Okay. All right, now let's explore settings. And if you have a question that I don't answer, email me, joan@innovativespeech.com, and I'll research it and get back to you, because that's how I stay up on all of this. So Deb, if nobody answers that, email me and I'll give you a link to the app. So settings. When was the last time, let's all write in chat, when was the last time you actually went on your phone or your computer and looked at the settings? They're always changing, and they're becoming more and more robust. Even the Zoom settings. I was checking out some Zoom possibilities because somebody on a shared screen, somebody was getting in there and writing all this inappropriate stuff in an event I went to. And so then I got back to the host and I told them how to go back into settings and to disable other people's ability to do that. Meryl said 3 days ago, Edward said not enough. So different. So really go into the settings, and explore what's possible. Go to settings, then go to accessibility and see what's there. Another thing to think about is the initial access. It can really be a barrier for seniors. What is how are they getting onto their phone? Is it a fingerprint? Is it Face ID? Is it a long password? Is it 4 digits? Because there are a lot of options now that there weren't necessarily before. And then we always have to balance ease of access with privacy concerns, right? Because you can make it so there's no password to get onto the iPad or onto another device. And if a person lives alone, that's okay. And if they're not doing banking and everything else, if you just want to get rid of it, that's fine. But then if there's some bad actors and they get into the person, then get into their bank account if everything's just saved. And then here are just some really great resources for Apple accessibility, Google accessibility, and Microsoft accessibility. So these are all links to, really robust pages filled with, these companies' accessibility features. And Karen says, the access is often tough to align across all of my different devices. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can have touch access. I mean, I like using my fingerprint access. That's just the easiest for me. But they don't all offer that. So if you go into an iPhone, this is a screenshot of my phone. And so you go to settings and accessibility, and then they have these different categories: vision, physical and motor, hearing, speech, accessories in general. And so this is, so physical and motor, there are lots of options for people that have tremors, and you can adjust how long you hold your finger down for, or how much pressure you give. Hearing, you can set up, with Bluetooth, things that the sound from a TV or your phone to go straight to your hearing aid. There are all kinds of accessibility features here, so you can dig into that. This is Android, a screenshot. I do have a Android tablet, so this is a screenshot of my tablet, Samsung Galaxy tablet. And again, you can go into the settings and accessibility. And then, so here's accessibility, and then there's vision, hearing, and interaction and dexterity, and just see what's possible and give it a try. A few shout outs to some really cool accessibility features. One I really like is iOS personal voice. So if you're working with somebody that is relying on having things said aloud for them, maybe they use an augmentative communication device, you can create a personal voice on your phone for free just by reading 150 phrases. And then when you have things said aloud, it's in your own voice. So this people are using to scam people too, because if you can capture a recording of someone, I don't know, I don't think you can do it with this exact method, because here you have to read aloud their 150 phrases. But this is why there's so many deep fakes, because there's a lot of technology out there that allows people to create, personal voices. iOS live speech is also free and included on the iPhone. And if you go to settings and accessibility and live speech, what you can do is you can type or select a phrase, and it will be said aloud to the person on the other end of the phone. And so I have a relative right now who's unable to use her vocal cords. And so she can't call anybody and be heard. And so I showed her this feature, and she's using it all the time. So she, if she doesn't want to text back and forth with somebody, but she needs to make a call where she can be heard on the other side, she can just type, and the person on the other side hears what she says. So it's a really great feature for people in certain situations. Assistive access is great for a lot of seniors, people with dementia, people that can't use a smartphone. So this again is on an iPhone, but I'm going to be showing you a few ways to do this on Android. And this is just a way to make it easier to use. So for my dad, the last 6 months of his life, he was very confused by his phone, and it was just getting too hard to use. And so I enabled assistive access for him. And so you just go into settings, accessibility, general, and set up assistive access, and you select the different apps that you want that person to be able to have access to. And they're simplified versions of a lot of the apps. And so this is a screenshot. He wanted to be able to use his camera, listen to music, make calls, and send text messages. That was it. And so it just really simplifies the initial screen. And sometimes if you do a 5-finger touch, you go app to app, or you swipe from the top to get control panel and up from the bottom. Like, none of that works, because people get in and out of things that they just don't want to. So assistive access, I've also used it with adults with developmental disabilities, where they just want to be able to be more independent, but they're not able to use a smartphone. So this is really good. So what happens is there's a trusted supporter that sets it up, and they set a unique password. And they need to know the user's Apple ID and password to get into the phone and to set this up. Okay, again, let me know if you have any questions about any of this accessibility stuff. Oh, I guess I didn't put in the one about if you have Android, there's if you have an Android phone and you want an easier setup, let me know. There are ease. Samsung has a really great easy setup access mode. And I think the Pixel now does too. Other than that, you might have to go to the Google Play Store and download something else. So again, email me if that's you and you need help with that. The next tip is embracing the cloud. A lot of people are really afraid to get on the cloud, but it can really be a problem. Celie loves the easy mode on her Samsung. Thanks. So for people that are, for elders, I think it's really important to have cloud-based access to documents and calendars and contacts and it just makes care coordination so much easier. So think about if you or those that you serve can access the information they need when they need it. So if somebody ends up in the hospital, can they access the names and numbers of all their doctors, any of appointments that they've made, their medicines? It's also a really good way to coordinate grocery shopping. If a family member needs to be making appointments for somebody else, can you access the schedule? Just think about that. And so there are lots of different ways that you can be involved, get into this cloud stuff. So you can go to Google, right? And you can be in Google Drive. And everything Google is saved in the cloud. So I really love Google. I have courses that I teach about Google and all the Google apps and how to be more productive using Google Calendar, Google Tasks, Google Keep, Google Drive, Google Docs. And a lot of adults aren't so comfortable with Google because when we were growing up, we all used Microsoft or Word Perfect before that. So things have really changed. Microsoft 365 is also really great and probably more popular in the working world. And again, this is web-based. It's Microsoft 365. It's not the Microsoft apps that are just available only locally on your computer. Google is very much used in all the schools. And so when I work a lot with students, it's all about Google apps. And then we have iCloud Drive, which is it's the default storage place for all the Apple devices. And so all of these, they automatically save, at least most of them. Make sure, but like Google, it just automatically saves. And Microsoft 365, if you're using OneDrive and you're working on a Microsoft Word document, it automatically saves. So, I'm sure a lot of us remember not saving something and losing entire documents, and that doesn't happen so much anymore. You can search. It makes it so much easier to search if you have online storage of all of these things. You can access your account from any kind of device. So if something happens to my computer and everything is stored in the cloud, I can just go onto another device and log in and access everything. Same thing, and it syncs across all of the different devices. And it makes it much easier to share and collaborate because everybody can be working together and on a project. And, if you're in Google Docs, or Microsoft Word, if you both have access, you can have instant collaboration and sharing, which is so nice. So I know for my mom, what I have is a Google Doc with all of her appointments, all of her doctor's appointments. And so I'm just I put them on her. She doesn't use Google Calendar. She likes her paper calendar, but she does use Google Docs. And so whenever she wants to be reminded of her next appointment, she'll just open up her Google Doc and we just check them off as we do them. And I tell her what time I'll pick her up. And she has it on her calendar also. And it's just a great way to stay organized and efficient. So you just think of it as taking your office with you to maximize productivity. This is a little bit redundant, so I won't go through that. These are task managers. So if you're in the Google world, you can use Google Tasks. And if you give it a date, it shows up automatically on your calendar. Apple Reminders, now the same thing. If you use Apple Reminders and you give a date for when it's due, it will show up on your calendar. And Microsoft To Do works great with Outlook. So, you sort of pick a system to use, and it's really helpful to be able to to manage tasks. These you can't really share with other people as so much. Like Google Tasks, you can't share. And I don't think Apple Reminders you can share. Meryl says that she has her entire computer data stored on Carbonite out of Boston. And she loves that. She's giving a shout out. They have great customer service. Gregory says it's such a headache to manage not to delete all copies of something. I'm not quite sure. I mean, when you're working on a document, you just always you're always working on the latest version in Google Docs and Microsoft Word. You can rename the version and you can go back to previous versions. But back in the day, right, we would have to rename each version if we were just working locally and keep track of all the different versions. And maybe you're saying it was a headache to manage all those different versions. Now you're always just working in the latest version. Here's an image of on my computer of Google Drive. I talk a lot about creating folders and color coding the folders, and then creating the documents within the folders, and how to stay really organized, and then how to share these with other people, and how to search for them. So just getting really organized. I thought I would do. I'm going to skip this live demo because I want to get to the others. I might come back, but just how to use Google Calendar, Keep, and Tasks to stay organized and break things down. All right, new topic, socializing with video chat. I think the issue of video chatting is really important for elders. Of course, it's just best to be in person. And we know that there's this pandemic of isolation and all these problems with people not being connected. And so video calls are really great for that. In fact, I'm giving a presentation later today all about the options for video calls. I'd say the most popular one for people who have iPhones is FaceTime. And so a lot, you can let me know, how do you do video calls? I'm curious, everybody on this call. A lot of people do FaceTime. That's what I do with people. And now there is a way, I think I have a slide that you can include Android phone users by sending them a link. And I'm going to be talking about some of these other ways. Oh, I guess I'm not because this is such a quick talk. But a lot of people use WhatsApp. I see Ellen does and Haiti does. Oh, nice to see you guys. WhatsApp is so all of Judy asked the best video calls format for Android. You can use Google Meet is the default video call app for Android. It used to be called Google Hangouts and Google Duo. But now it's Google Meet, and they merged the meeting platform with the one-to-one platform. And it's really easy to use and great and free. And so that would be something that I think is often overlooked, but it's wonderful to use. It's very much like doing FaceTime. Zoom, you can get a free account and do that one-to-one. WhatsApp is really, really popular for people that are texting and in touch with people all around the globe. So people that have a lot of international connections tend to use WhatsApp the most and love it. I don't really personally. Messenger is a lot of the younger kids seem to use Messenger, the Messenger app for video calls, and Microsoft Teams with work. That's how people do video calls. Skype was the first one that I started with, and that's no longer available, and that's been replaced with Microsoft Teams. And Haiti says it's good and easy to share pictures with WhatsApp. Yeah, all of these you can share pictures, you can share your screen with all of these. They're all really robust. And again, I'm doing a talk later today. You can ask me about that if you really want more information about these options. But this is a slide I want you to pay attention to because not everybody has a computer or a smartphone, and some people can't use those other tools. And so a lot of people are just kept isolated. And so especially through COVID, it became really clear that another option was needed. And these are my top picks of the other options. And so I just want to tell you, I think this is the only slide I have of this. So yeah. All right. So I'm going to just take you through this. So GrandPad, um, I have a demo one here. This is how big it is. And basically what happens is it's um, it's a tablet. I think it's built on an Android tablet, and it's just very easy to use. So you can click on that green circle and make an audio call or a video call. And you have, for all of these, you have to have a family member set it up for the user, and put in contacts for that person to call. And so there's some differences between these. So GrandPad is expensive. There's a monthly subscription, excuse me. And there are a couple options. So if I click on this, you can go to this and learn more about it. But you can either go to grandpad.net or you can go to Consumer Cellular, and there are two different ways to buy it. They both offer great phone support, and they've added a feature. So we do this every single night with my 99-year-old mother-in-law who has a lot of dementia. And so every night at 6:30, there's a sign that says, my husband will call. And she doesn't remember much, but she knows that every night at 6:30, she's gonna see hear something and then see him appear, because she's not able to like actively push the answer, to answer the call. So we have a special setup with her that requires certain privacy restrictions and things, but we just appear and we talk to her every night. And where she lives, the Wi-Fi is not reliable. So we pay 80 something dollars a month because this doesn't require Wi-Fi. But you can have Wi-Fi, but it doesn't require it because it uses data. And so this is really consistently great and great tech support. And then you can play games on it. You can look at photos. We use it as a photo slideshow the rest of the time. She just looks at it all day long, all the photos that we're sending to her. The second option here, oh, I see. So Mayowa asked, does Google Meet time is it time bound or does it have a time limit? I don't think it has a time limit. I mean, you can look, it's hours at least, the free version. I think it's really good. Amazon's Echo Show with drop-in. So here you can do that drop-in where you just appear, or you can have it so that the person answers the call. But there's no monthly subscription. So if you have good Wi-Fi and you have the device, it's free. So if I click on this, you just go to Amazon and you put in Echo Show, and this is how to set up the drop-in. View clicks, I don't personally use this, but I know people who do, and it's good. You can get it in two different sizes. And again, you can use it for video calls. And you can have it be, showing pictures. I don't know if you can do the drop-in feature on that. And on-screen is fantastic. This is one of my top picks. It links to the actual TV in somebody's room. You have to have Wi-Fi, but you can make it so that if the person is watching TV or not, you'll just appear. And now they also have a version that it can work on a video also, a tablet also. But I know the guy, I've met him, a really nice guy that developed this, and it's great. The cost has gone up a bit, but you can check all that out through the link. Okay. Okay, so Jose says, we got my mother a Facebook Portal, which is a device which facilitates Facebook video calls. Facebook Portal was great. They don't support it anymore, and it's not sold anymore. So if you still have one and it works, then that's great. But it doesn't really exist anymore. And then Karen said you can add a Zoom app to a Roku smart TV. Yeah, you can do Zoom. Yeah, great point. Okay, I love all the comments. That's great. Okay, Google Lens. Let's talk about Google Lens. Has anyone tried it? I would say this is one of my single most favorite apps. It's absolutely fantastic. It's free and everyone has access to it. And so I'm going to talk about it and then I'm going to show it to you. I should have lined up a few things, but I have a magazine here. So if you are on, and you can do this as I talk, so you can try it out. If you're on an iPhone, you want to make sure that you have this G, the colorful G app, the Google app, just the plain Google app with the G. So you go to the App Store and download it if you search for it and don't have it. If you're on an Android phone, it can show up in a few different places. You can, I think you might be able to download a Google Lens app, or it might appear just in your camera app. There might be an image of this Google Lens, this colorful icon. Or sometimes it shows up if you're in the Google search engine. If you're searching on Google, it'll be in the search bar, you'll see a little icon of a camera. And so it's showing up all over the place now, more and more. So if you have the Google Lens app, and so then what you can do is you can point it at something and it will capture an image anywhere in your environment. So you can take a picture of a sign, of a menu, of a piece of mail, and then you can either have it read aloud that text immediately, or you can translate the text into the language of your choice and have that read aloud immediately. So if you're traveling in Europe or somewhere and it's in another language that you don't speak, you can instantly translate. You can either see the translation or have it read aloud to you, or you can look for like images. So if you see somebody wearing something on TV and you want to know where they got it from, you just use Google Lens and you can find like images and see where they sell it, or you see a plant and you want to know what plant it is. So I'm going to change my share. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay, so for those of you who want to know how to do this, so I have my iPhone. I'm going to swipe down from the top right and click on the two little right rectangles. And then I'm going to go to the advanced share settings in Zoom and select iPhone AirPlay and share. And then in my camera, I have a screen mirroring option that says Zoom to my MacBook Pro. And so now, hopefully, you can all see my phone. So I'm going to search in the middle there for Google. And you see on the top left here, you see that colorful G. So I'm going to select that. And so now this is the Google app. And you'll see uh, you have the search icon, and then you have these three icons. You've got the microphone, you've got one for images, where you can search for images on your phone. But then we have this camera. So I'm going to select the camera on the right. And then I have just a magazine in front of me. So I'm going to I'm just going to press where I'm going to capture the image, press it, and then it automatically selects the text. So you can see it's sort of highlighted. So if I tap on that, I then have choices. I can copy the text and I can move those little blue bubbles around. I can listen to the text. I can translate the text, or I could copy it to my computer, which is really pretty cool. I didn't even know that was an option. So if I listen,
Dynamic assessment.
it read it aloud. So for people that have trouble reading for any reason, this could be really good. Or I can translate it into any of these languages. So many languages, So let's say French, and then I can listen.
Dynamic assessment.
Évaluation dynamique.
I just happen to have a speech pathology, magazine here, but it's just so good. Or let's see if I can get a picture. Let's say I went to another page and I'm going to open this up again, and I like this person's shirt. Let's say I want to I like that shirt and I want to know where I can buy it. I can press it. And then I can, really focus it in on that shirt. And then I look at the bottom and I can see where to buy similar shirts. So it's it's just really a very fun thing to use. If you know it in the chat, if you've used Google Lens, there's so many different ways that you can use this. Um, you can also use it when you're on a trip, and if you see some kind of monument or something and you want to see what it's all about, you can get the history of the monument. So again, it's just, it's as good as your imagination. So Deb uses it to identify plants. Um, Oh, Celia uses it. She said, I'm a huge fan for showing clients that things they think are worth something are not. So she specializes in decluttering and helping people get organized. And so if you find something, um, a painting or some piece of furniture or whatever, and you want to know what it's worth, we made it into a verb, Google Lens it, because we use this all the time. And then you can see like images and how much people are selling them for. So they're or what they're used for. So it's really great. And again, if you click on the link here, I put in a guide. I tried to find, up-to-date resources to help people figure things out from this resource. Um, and I'm okay with you guys sharing this handout. A lot of people aren't okay with that, but I'm really okay with it. I have my email on there. It's a marketing tool, but it's also getting this information out to people. So I didn't copyright it or anything. All right, the next thing I really want to show you. Oh, Karen says this will be great for my sister who's a landscape designer. Yeah, plants. Um, it's really great. And the more you don't think you're going to use it, but I bet people are going to start using this now. Um, Goblin Tools is something, if anybody has used Goblin Tools, let me know. It is a great, great resource. So the nice thing about this is you don't have to log in or create an account. You can, and feel free to do this on a computer, you just go to goblin.tools. If you're on your phone, Android or iPhone, you can download the Goblin Tools app, and I think it costs a couple dollars. It's totally free on the website. And this was actually made for neurodiverse students. But it's great for adults also, especially people who might be reluctant to use ChatGPT or something because they think the information is going to be used for ill or something and they're worried about the privacy. This is sort of a scaled down specialized version of ChatGPT for a few particular purposes. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to go to Goblin Tools. So I'm just going to click on this. So it's just goblin.tools. And then what we have to do is we're going to use this magic to do. So it's actually a bunch of different little programs up here. And let's think of a project or something that somebody has to do. So think of, I'm going to look at the chat. What's some kind of project that you need to do or someone you're helping has to do, and you just don't know how to get started? Decluttering. Okay, decluttering what? I mean, it could be just general decluttering, but Peggy, could you be more specific? Or I'll just have it be. Okay. I your house. I'm just going to say I need to declutter my house. So we'll do a couple of these. I need to declutter my house. Please help. Okay. So, and you can do this with ChatGPT or any of the others too. But what's different with this is you want to determine how spicy it should be. So if you move this little lever over to the right, you get really a lot of detail. And over to the left is not as much detail. So we're going to put this in the middle. And you can see there's a microphone here. All right, I'm going to take some of these suggestions. We'll do this a few times, and then I'll show you how to do this with ChatGPT. So, or Gemini. So I'm going to put it in the middle. And again, you see the microphone is here. And so I could have said it instead of typed it. And so I'm going to click on the plus, and then it goes to here. And I'm going to click this magic wand, and it's going to break it down. All right. Identify the areas of your house that need decluttering. Set specific goals for each area. Clear a closet, organize a desk. Gather storage containers, bins, or boxes. Begin with one area or room to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Remove everything from the designated space and sort items into categories. Clean the cleared space thoroughly before placing items back. I mean, this sounds like it could, now you can rearrange these. you can edit. You can change them if you want, or maybe you don't know how to identify the areas that need decluttering and you want to break that down. So you can break things down again. Start by visualizing your entire house to get a general idea of the space. Make a list of all the rooms and areas within your house that might require decluttering. You know, so I mean, it's really pretty good. And then you can go through and you can have subtasks or whatever. And then at the bottom, you can share this. You can export it. So you can save it. You can export it to the clipboard and paste it somewhere so you can use this information. Um, Judy says taking over your job. No, people still need help in person, but this is something, it's also good for self-help. So let me take lifestyle interventions that improve memory. Decluttering photos, cleaning the refrigerator. Let me just do cleaning the refrigerator. Help me clean the refrigerator. I think did I spell it wrong? I know. Okay. Unplug the refrigerator. Oh, I never do that. Remove all the food items and place perishables items in a cooler if necessary. Take out so you can go through and do this. Now, I'm going to also be showing you ChatGPT and we'll do that. But I also like to use this for self-help. You could say something like, I am a senior and am lonely. What, how can I help myself feel less isolated? I've never done this one before. Identify activities or hobbies that you enjoy and can participate in regularly. Connect with friends, family members, or neighbors through calls, messages, or visits. Join local community groups or clubs that align with your interests. I mean, it's really pretty good. And so this could be something that you just, it doesn't take the place of senior care providers, but it could be something that you look at together with a client and think about, well, which one of these sounds best to you? And then you can, fine tune it and really help take action steps. It's really very good. With students, I'm like, how can you reduce anxiety before a test? So lots of ways to do this. RH11 says, which handouts are you referring to that we can share? I'm sharing a copy of the slides with everybody. I just put it into the chat again. And so if you click on that and then you put in your name and email address, because then then you're added to my email list, you'll get a copy of the slides. You'll get an email. And I think you should directly be taken to a page that there's a PDF of all my slides, because then you have the live links. Okay, so that's Goblin Tools, really great. Which is better, Goblin Tools or ChatGPT? Mayowa, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. They're just different. Goblin Tools is just a narrowed down version of ChatGPT. Sometimes this is for students because students really shouldn't be using ChatGPT if they're under 18, although Gemini is becoming available for as low as 13 years of age. ChatGPT is fantastic. I use it every single day, and I'm going to be showing that to you now. Oh no, I have two more things. I only have 10 more minutes. All right. I love Google's Notebook LM. So take note. If you've not heard of this, this is amazingly great, free for everybody. And I'll show it to you. So all you need is a Gmail account or Google friendly account. And what it does is you can upload documents and it will give you summaries and interact with you based on the documents that you upload. And so let me show you how this works. And if anybody has used it, and Norma, you have to put your email, you have to click on the link and do it yourself. I'm not, well, we'll see. All right. So if you just go to notebooklm.google.com, that's how you get to this. And then you need to sign in with your Google account. And so this is an example of one that I did. And so what I did is I have this Tech Life Inner Circle where every week I give a 15-minute tech talk and I have slides and I uploaded all of the PDFs of the slides. And then I have some other resources. And then what it does is it will give you a summary, it will give you a podcast, it will answer questions about the content that you gave it. So if you need to study for a test and you have all these study tools, you can create a study guide. If you're working on a big project, you can upload everything and you can configure the privacy settings at the beginning to not use any of the content in refining the algorithms of Google's AI. So this is nice because they say with ChatGPT and all the others, garbage in, garbage out, right? Because it picks from all over the internet. But with this, it's only looking at what you give it. So I'll do a live demo of one thing. So let's say I want to create a new notebook, and then it asks you to upload sources. And so I can upload sources from my Google Drive or any link or website or YouTube. So I can choose a file to upload, and then here, let's see if I can find the handout. These are other presentations I'm doing. Okay, this is the presentation that I'm sharing with everybody. So I can upload this. It has the information from today, and I can ask it to generate an audio interview about today's. This is an overview of, now I just did one PDF to make this go faster, but you could have up to 50 of them. And it will create an overview, which it did. So, and I can have a study guide. So it's creating a study guide on this, a briefing document. So here's the study guide based on today's presentation. I uploaded the PDF. So it has a quiz. What are some of the key barriers that seniors may face when adopting new technology? What is the recommended new tech mindset presented in the material? And then it has an answer key. I mean, it is so cool. And then I can go back. Oh, I wanted you to be able to hear. Oh, I can get a mind map made of the content. Let's see if the audio overview is ready. I'll come back to this if I have time, but it's so cool. All right, let me go back. Let me go. So, and then the last, one of the last slides is just ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and Perplexity. So there are all of these artificial intelligent chatbots or LLMs. I like to call them intelligent assistants. Yesterday, I had a conversation where they could be called intelligent colleagues. So you can create accounts for any of these. Gemini is the one that's with Google. Copilot is affiliated with Microsoft. I tend to use ChatGPT and Gemini the most, but they're all good. And you can use more than one. And so to get started with ChatGPT, you can go to chat.openai.com, or click on this link. Okay. And so if I want to use ChatGPT, so here's my ChatGPT. And so I can ask you just ask it anything you want. I pay $20 a month, but for free, you can do a ton. You can create images, you can interact with it. I mean, I've given whole day presentations on what you can do with these. So this is just really quick. But let me go back to some of those suggestions. Okay, I'm gonna take Jose's and I'm gonna say, what are some lifestyle interventions that will improve my memory? And then I like to add, ask me one question at a time to help you offer the best response possible. Because sometimes it can make up hallucinations that aren't good. And so how would you describe your current sleep habits? I sleep well. That's a strong foundation. Quality sleep is one of the most important factors for memory and brain health. How physically active are you during the day? Do you have a regular exercise routine? So you can see, I'll say, I don't exercise. Thanks for your honesty. You're not alone. Many people find it hard to build an exercise habit, but movement can make a big difference for memory. Even so it's going to take you through. And then at the end, you could say, can you summarize what I should do during the day? And um, it's really quite good. And you can see that on the bottom here, there's a microphone. So I could dictate instead of type. And I can also use voice mode, which I'll show you that you can have a conversation back and forth. How can I improve my memory? Uh, How can I improve my memory? What isn't working?
Improving memory can. Got it.
How can I improve my memory?
Improving memory can be approached in several ways. Regular physical activity, even moderate exercise, like walking or stretching, can boost blood flow to the brain and support memory. Balanced nutrition. Eat a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats, especially omega-3s from fish or nuts, which support brain health. Mental stimulation. Engage in activity.
Okay, I see somebody saying that blackout box is on the screen. That's weird. I'm going to stop the share and I'll reshare. Wait, stop share, share. Okay, hopefully that's better. I don't know why there was a problem with black blocks visible. Well, let me go back. All right, we're almost out of time anyways. Let me just make sure that I finish everything. So these are some Chat GPT prompts. You can have it summarize articles for you. You can upload, oh, boxes are back now. Okay, hopefully you guys can see what I'm sharing now. But here's some examples of GPT prompts. You can summarize articles and so you can attach a PDF article or something and have it simplify the content for you. You can have it create outlines for articles, like have it brainstorm with you. You can have it provide a summary of a book, and you can interact with it back and forth. You can ask it for suggestions of books that you might like to read based on others, and list some books that you like. You can ask it to suggest an image, create an image for you. There's so many things that you can do. You can ask it to generate recipes for you, explain complex topics, create jokes, plan trips. And in the Tech Life Inner Circle, we've done this. I had a whole session on just how to plan your trip with ChatGPT and going back and forth and how that might look. So there are lots of ways that you can use these large language models. They're great for brainstorming and outlining and working together with you. But be careful, not everything they tell you are correct. It could have some made up information called hallucinations, right? You need to fact check things, especially if you're having it do research for you. But these days you can ask for citations, where it gets its information. Make sure not to share private information, right? Your full name, address, phone number. Don't share any of that. And if you're really, really risk averse, because we really don't know what's happening with this information, even though you can set up privacy, you could set up a new Gmail account, just to use with this. The last topic I have is just what do you do when things go wrong, right? And I have a download about things like restart and close, then reopen apps, check your connections, clear your cache. And I've done presentations on this. But what I really want people to do is start using AI to help you with tech support. So if you say to it, how can I set up my phone so I hear people through my hearing aids? Please ask me one question at a time to generate helpful step-by-step guidance. And then here's a screenshot of ChatGPT or Gemini saying, what type of phone are you using, an iPhone or an Android? And if Android, you know the brand, like Samsung, Google Pixel, and it takes you through the steps. Here are some free tech hotlines. Senior Planet has a really good tech hotline if you need help, and Cyber Seniors does. GoGo Quincy apparently no longer exists. So that was sad. I was just checking all of my information. And I want to give a shout out to the State Assistive Technology Act programs. In Maryland, we have MD TAP. And you can click on this link and see, look for your state. And these places will help you with tech, especially assistive technology. And they have all kinds of good programs. And join my Tech Life Inner Circle membership. I really would love that. It's not that expensive. You can click on this link and you'll see, a little video for me and what we do and how we learn together. It's every single week and it's recorded. Let's see what else. And I have a free private Facebook group. And it's 10 o'clock. So let's see, are there any other questions? Hopefully I answered them all along the way, but I'm really glad that you all came here today. And I hope that this got you excited about AI and accessibility features and how technology can improve life. And this whole concept of AI is sort of scary, but at least it makes it a little less daunting and you can start slowly and just one or two small changes may make a big difference in your life. So I encourage you to give it a try.
Joan, I think one word is very appropriate here. Wow. So much information. Useful.
I hope it wasn't too overwhelming. I tend to give too much information, but I try to give the resources so that if something really speaks to you, you can then click on it and learn more. But just picking one or two things to try.
Getting the
Great
slides.
job.
Meryl, you're muted.
This is exactly what I was going to say. We all have different needs, and one can go to the slides or listen to the recording afterward and focus in on exactly what the individual needs. So I think just learning and seeing, I saw things here that I never knew existed. I don't need them myself, but other people do. And we're glad to have you around. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
My pleasure. Okay, so I will end.
We should remind people, Joan, that you put the link in the chat and I just reposted it for them to get the slides.
And if people are really stuck, just email me, joan@innovativespeech.com, JOAN@INNOVATIVESPEECH.com if you can't get to the chat, and I'll email you.
All you have to do is click on it and it'll go to either your Google or your Microsoft Edge, and it's sitting there so that all you have to do is save that link. For me to say it, it's very easy.
Save the chat.
You can also save the chat, yeah, and the link is in there.
Yes, that's very important. Save the chat.
Right.
Okay, I know that Steve is not here, so I'm going to try to, I'm going to end the webinar for everybody. So goodbye.
Thank you, Joan.
Everybody. Take
Thank you
care.
so much.
Everybody, and save the chat. Save the chat.
Thank you, Joan.
Oh, I didn't save the chat. Maybe I did.
Just go to the three little dots at the very bottom, click on it, and one